Okay, great. Would you mind to tell us your name, sir?
Bill Questel. I live here in Portsmouth all of our life. I was born 30th of March 1926, and that dates back to approximately my association at the age of 6 on with the old airport down there at Raven Rock Airport. And at that time, Pat Love and my dad were very good friends. And Pat Love was the test pilot of this American Moth airplane, which was built right here in Portsmouth at the Vulcan Glass Company. And at that time, there were 7 of them, 7 or 8 of them that were built, I'm not sure. And I don't think anybody else is either. And at that time, the airport, they were way ahead in aviation compared to what they are back in that time of age. I mean, airplanes were very infant in their design and flying capabilities. And at that time, my dad and Pat Love used to go up and fly around in these planes. Now that's where I first came acquainted with the airport. But later on, the Raven Rock golf course was right next to the airport. And we used to caddy down there at the airport and then go over to airplanes and play around with the airplanes. And at that time, this was one of the original shots and flights of the airplane. I know more about the airplane than I do the airport because of the fact that my dad was with Pat Love more or less on those flights. And they did some terrific things with airplanes in that they even flew all over the country advertising the golf clubs that were manufactured at the golf Vulcan Glass Company down here. And many, many times when we were little, when I was little, not you, they had air shows like you're accustomed to today, only then they were air shows with this type of planes. And there was a lot of real interest shown in the airport at that time. Later on in life, and when I was about 18, Hugh Bars was working for Papa Grinds down there at the airport. And we flew planes. Hugh was learning how to fly. And we had gone up one day when it shouldn't have been, and we wrecked one of the planes down there. And of course, Hugh Bars is dead now. Papa Grimes, I don't know where he is. He's probably dead too because he's much older than I was at that time. But we've been associated with that airport down there up until the time it was just done away with and they moved it out to Minford. But people don't know this. Right here in this town, we used to have airmail service. And they'd put up 2 structures down at the airport, at Raven Rock Airport, like 2 goalposts string across wire, mail bag hanging on it, and the plane would come down, scoop up, and take the mail off. Now that's history. I don't know very many people know that, but I mean that's a fact. And many, many times down there it was used for holidays, just like we have holidays here and they celebrate at the park. Well, they used to celebrate those down at the airport. And they'd have many, many shows every year. I mean, not just once, but year after year after year. And at one time they had a man down there that came in, and he was a parachute jumper. And he had a record of how many hours that he spent jumping. And he set a record down there one year, and I don't even remember his name, but he had one arm gone, one leg gone. He said, if I failed to open, I'd only lose half of me because the other half's gone. But been a lot of good times down there.
That's really, I never knew that the Minford Airport was preceded by the Raven Rock one.
No, it wasn't preceded, it was followed. Raven Rock was first.
Right. I think I may have used that word incorrectly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Raven Rock was first.
first
And then
one.
when they closed it up, Minford Airport was out there at all times, but it was not the Portsmouth Airport. It used to belong to, gosh, I can't think of his name now, but that's where it originated, down here, and then it was moved up there at a later date.
And you mentioned the company that made
The Vulcan,
planes.
Vulcan Glass, shoe glass, and they're no longer in business here, but they are still down in Cincinnati. But they were the first ones to really, well, they pioneered air. I mean, they just absolutely pioneered air. And they used to just advertise all over the country. I mean, they'd take golf clubs and fly them all over the country and drop them. People parachute out with the golf clubs. I mean, it was quite a promotional thing.
So, the company made golf clubs.
Oh, they made golf clubs, wood shaft golf clubs. Then they later made shoe glass, bowling ball, pins, and the buildings are still down on Second and Loot Plumbing, where they are located now. They had a lot of those buildings down there.
So, and the planes were made by that company?
By that company,
By a golf club company.
Yeah, that's right. And only Bill Burke, he was the one that instigated and got the building. He had the Vulcan Glass Company, and then he incorporated the aircraft company down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there were 7 or 8 of these made. And
You're
what
right.
was particular about this style of plane?
It was one wing, what these call, you can see it here, it's, well, I can't show it very good. It's a single wing aircraft, 2-seat, and there was articles in the Times a while back, we part of published it. Sam Pyatt wrote the article on it, and it was distributed in the paper. And I've got records of it, how it was built, plans of it, everything. But when it was built, I was only about, 6 years, maybe 5 years old. But I was one of the first ones that ever sat on the wing of that thing. But it was quite a story behind it, really. Quite a story, big story.
So you mentioned to me earlier that there is at least one still in existence, and
It's out in California, and this man right here is the one that restored that plane back to its original. It's a good picture of it right there, and that's the article that was in the Portsmouth Times on it.
Oh, I see. It's got the old photos against the new refurbishment. I like that.
Yeah. Now, if you want to keep any of this, record it, take it off, I'll leave it with you.
Well, if you wouldn't mind leaving it with us, and we can scan it all, and then get it back to you.
That'll be fine.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. And there's more to it really in here, but more of it is more or less old newspaper prints of the factory down there. And I don't know, even got plane.
Oh, wow.
Everything's in there about the
Plans for it,
airplane.
everything.
Right.
Oh, we'll scan that.
Okay.
If you don't mind, we'd love to.
I can leave it all with you. We'll leave this with you, and you can do whatever you want.
We'll take a scan of it, that's for sure.
And do whatever you want with it.
So you said that you were a kid running around this airport.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, from 6 years of age up. And then later on, we used to caddy for the golf club, which was right next to the airport. And then after we'd caddy, we'd go and play around in airplanes. And one day we went up on an airplane and we flew around. few bars was 16. I think I was 18. And we piled up down in a farm down in Adams County. And bunged us up pretty good. We're still here. And I'm 85, so it's been a good life.
Made it through okay.
Yeah.
Oh my! I can't imagine trying to just run around an airport.
Yeah, well, I mean,
today.
it was
different.
new then. I mean, it wasn't. It was in its infancy, really. And we had a lot of fun down there. And they'd have these air shows once a year, and even on, I think it was some holidays, they would open up and have 4 or 5 different planes come in, old time planes. And it was fun.
Did they do it for particular holidays, or was it just a?
Usually probably around Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and things of that nature. And then they'd have family picnics down there and everything. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Sounds like
Good
fun.
old days. Yeah.
Well, are there any stories or anything else you want to tell us about?
Not that I can remember right now, no, but you pretty well got it all right there.
We've got a pretty good collection there.
Yeah, you sure have.
Well, I appreciate you coming down and talk to us.
All righty. And anything you want to put, publish, do whatever you want with it. I mean, nobody can argue about it because they're not around anymore.
All right then.